Yes, Jabby, give thanks, man. You're doing your real work. Yeah, man. Historian, reality. Yeah. And everybody big up in them story. Every corner, every nooks and corner, big up. Everything turn superstar. The name of the road, the circular thing, the L turn, every element, every indication make feature a place, a person, a time, you know, and it feature them with the real light, which is the truth, the light of truth. This is no make up stories, and this is the type of history that we want to build up Rasta on the ground. Unless Rasta shed them type of light, which is the true light, in its stories, then Rasta won't have any history. And this month of February coming is Black History Month. This is the type of history or our story that we need. Rasta story, true light story. As simple as the story can sound, as simple as just like this little story. Do you know so and so? And they start to tell you, yeah, I think, live round so and so on and so forth. This is what we want to learn to do, which is to speak the truth. Rasta must start from the beginning and learn to speak the truth and stand on the truth. Give thanks, stay blessed, Rastafari.
This is February 1st. And as you know, February is known as the reggae official month. And it's now looked at now as reggae month, but reggae is synonymous with Rastafari and Bob Marley being the icon of Rastafari, Trenchtown Culture Yard being the yard so called that everything allegedly start. One of the problems with Rastafari, mainly with Bob Marley, is that we have placed too much emphasis on Bob Marley and reggae music slash Rastafari, and in doing so, we have continued this generational lie that today do not make no sense. And we have continued to do so and then wonder why Rastafari is actually just evaporating in front of us. And you will hear once upon a time people would talk about Bacawal and everything to start a Bacawal, but now nobody speak about Bacawal anymore. Now everyone would want you to believe that everything pertaining to Rasta now start in Trenchtown, 2nd Street at Culture Yard. Now, over the period of this month, I will be revisiting interviews with some of our icons in order to establish this generational lie that the now generation is building on. So today, I'm gonna put the spotlight on a reasoning with Ross Michael. Now, I have just came to realize that Ras Michael is originally from the country. So he's not even a Bacawal man, and he's not even a Rockfort man. And as we go along, you will learn why these things are important. So let's get into the reasoning with Ras Michael. We, the Rastafarian, use I and I words, book from the Bible, documentary, revelation, figure greatly in the source of Rastafarian doctrine. For we are a people who deal with the Bible. The Bible is the rallying point for all humanity. And unless we accept with a clear conscience the Bible and its great message, there is no hope for salvation. No political leader who is interested in basic change can afford to ignore the Rastaman. From as early as the late 1950s, it was the Rastafarian who first called into question the claim made by the architects of Jamaican nationalism of the late 30s. For instance, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Leonard Howell, Mr. Hines, and all those people, all the response known to Jamaican history were, as it were, invoked by the Rastafari brethren. Therefore, when the Rastafarians speak of equality for all and the redemption of the black to Africa, and the liberation and the relief from sufferation, the forces and vigor of the assertion has always been mistaken by colonialists and neo-colonialists as a threat of violence. Despite the tremendous advance since emancipation from slavery and the subsequent long journey to independence, the black man and woman as a whole, wherever they may be, have suffered through the colonialist and neo-colonialist society who stubbornly conspire to remain sane in terms of fundamental social relationship, regardless of the humanity with which it treats a majority of its population. The force of religion in Rastafarian development is provided by the reality of Jamaican history. Can you see that a Jamaica or a world liberated from slavery, Jamaica now found refuge in a strong Christian fundamentalist teaching? To a vast majority of the people, we Rastafarians are a people who come from the Bible land, the land of God, Africa, Canaan. This idea provides the Rasta with valuable tool of critical analysis, not any of the unjust social system, but of the established religion and the way it serves that system. These things are set up to serve certain people and not the masses. The Rastaman has found that in the Bible there are gift of tongues and a conception of the life of the black people. Check it. Were not African slavery and plantation cruelty the same, parallel as the scattering of the 12 tribes of Israel and the exile into Babylonian captivity? Therefore, the return of promise for the Jews must be the return to Africa for the blacks. The exile and the yearning for unity are both the cause and the occasion for that academic state of crisis in which African in the West and even those who imprison African in exile find themselves. So the situation called for a message and the Rastafarian have willingly provided. The Rastaman read his Bible for centuries. The Bible has provided comfort and assurance to the poor and suffering in time of chaos and fear. Rastaman faith, the Rastafari, the Rastaman teaches redemption, sorry, sorry, in the pursuit of peace and love and the uncompromising acceptance of self as a child of God. That means we are children of the Most High, directly, black, proud, resourceful, and free. The presence of Jah in the person of his children in the world is the consummate triumph over the trial and evil of ordinary life. We call those trial and evil the devil system. Jah cannot die. He wipe away all tears from your eyes. Revelation 21:2-4. The Rastaman is self-confident. That is good. How else can he be? Jah is within man. He is a man. He comfort man. To those that order their conversation and thought aright, I will show the salvation of the Almighty. Jah does nothing without revealing his secret to his servant, the prophet. Amos 3:7. Jah's servant are here to reveal these mystery for the wicked Babylonian. That is why they are vexed with the Rasta for our interpretation, contradict their manifestation among the Babylonian, the backsliding Christian, the church, the corrupt, self-seeking politician, and all those leaders and president and rulers of the world. Those others, the imperialists and the exploiters, are bent on denying African and all other peace-loving people their right to live in peace and society. I and I, Rastaman, say each person on the face of the earth has a personality and an individual and faith identity, and that divine dimension is a direct route into the Creator, Jah himself. As you say, you take up a telephone and you call your friend Well, it is as that. You speak to him through your royal telephone with communication from the heart. The source of the Rasta man called universally the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God, with their injunction of peace and love, with the result becoming the level of consciousness that defeat racism and exile dignity of humanity. Jah praise him. Now, that was an extract from an interview with Ras Michael. Now, trust me, none of that when you read just now no make no sense. So, this is what one of the Ras Michael, a foundation Kete drum specialists, have been touring the world, live in California, and this is what he have been telling the white people, because he have tell no black people will ever listen to this. Make it clear. And this is not what I was saying. I was just reading an extract of Ras Michael. And Ras Michael, as I said, is in California. At this present moment, live there. And he's a iconic figure. And this is what he is actually preaching. Now, that was Ras Michael. Now, as you know, the next person that is credited for teaching Bob Marley to be a star is the legendary Jo Iggs. Now, Jo Iggs is a man that I know personally, growing up in Trenchtown. A man that I used to interact with. So, I'm gonna highlight now a extract again from Jo Iggs. And this extract was from an interview with no other than Roger Stephen. Now, one of our this is how it went. One of our first and most frequent guests on the Reggae Beat radio program has been the man most often referred to as the father of reggae music. You hear me say a while? This is the father. So all who fight for kingship, princeship, you all didn't know that this now extract that I'm gonna teach you all now is from the father of reggae music. If you think a lie me I tell, go ask Muta, go ask Jerry Small, and go ask Miguel Lawn, who is Jo Iggs. Now, as I said, this is the father of reggae music. Jo Iggs, depending on his mood, our talk have run the gamut from glorious to gracious, from deep anger to deep humanity. Iggs is own man, is his own man, keeping his own counsel unwilling to flinch in the face of near constant career adversity. This year, he witnessed a breakthrough as his third album in as many decades rose to #1 on the American Reggae chart and stayed there for a couple of months. By the way, this interview was conducted in, just to make you all have a, in 1986. That's when this interview was conducted, in 1986. Now, so Jo Iggs, not Gibbs, Jo Iggs is on the top of the US chart at the time when he made this interview. Personal appearance in widely scattered part of the US brought Iggs to a brand new audience, eager to experience firsthand something of the power that attract youngster like Bob Marley, Bunny Whalers, and Peter Tosh. I don't know if you understand what I just read, but first I'll let you know that he was the father of reggae music. And they are telling you about his sons, Bob Marley, Bunny Whalers, and Peter Tosh. And the wailing soul. To him, in the early days of the Jamaican music scene, and like many fellow performers who grow to adulthood with him, Iggs is enjoying a career that is more vital now, perhaps than it has ever been, at least outside of Jamaica. The following article is based on interview that had taken place between us since 1980. Born June 3rd, 1940, Iggs grew up in the poverty of Trench Town, where people would rise before dawn to harmonize just to avoid hearing the rumbling of their empty bellies. From about 5 to 6, say the capacity built singer, I start fooling around on the guitar. I used to go over Rasta man house next door to where I was living in Trenchtown. By the way, Jo Iggs used to come in my father's yard. He was our neighbor on 5th Street. What I'm also trying to establish here is that nothing never really happened on 2nd Street Culture Yard. Everything was happening on 5th Street for the vultures. But you will hear Jo Iggs speak about it as we go along. He used to allow me to play, and I used to pick. I tried to combine notes in a free manner, because I was just aware of harmony structure. I could not tell whether this was G or F or whatever on the guitar. I know that I was just forming and building song. Then I did take my time and make song around those chords. That is the way I made most of my music. Eventually, he worked up the courage to enter a talent competition and there becomes team with his future partner, Roy Wilson, not Delroy Wilson, as has been widely misreported. Iggs remember Roy was like my mate in singing. We used to live on the same street and go down to the same rehearsal at Bim and Bam. So we start together there. We got together in a concert when we were each qualified in the first 10 solo singer. Among them were Wilford Jackie Edwards, Owen Gray, Leslie Akins. So the promoters had a problem. They could not eliminate 2 people. It was 8 were really the final amount of people in one entry. So the promoter said, would you 2 guys sing together? 'Cause I saw you over in the corner singing. Sound very good, and we went into the duo section and we were second. That is where we start singing in 1958 as Iggs and Wilson. My first time in the studio was with the present Prime Minister, Mr. Edward Seago. Long time I tell him say Seago a part of the foundation of the thing. Now, Jo Iggs come tell you now. Make I repeat that. My first time in the studio was with the present Prime Minister, Mr. Edward Seago. He was our manager. The first person to bring us on the record. He was the best manager we ever had. We always got paid. Then he left us and went into politics. He saw us at the Ward Theatre. We tore down the place. He had thought of putting some money into a studio, building a studio. So he built West Indies Recording and we made our first record, Oh Nanny Ho. We were his only act. The song jumped from 43 to 3, then spent a couple of weeks on #1, sold a lot. By the early 60s, the group achieved notable work for that other reggae pioneer, Cox and Dad. Iggs and Wilson biggest record was on Dad Wincox label called, ironically, There Is a Reward. Ironic because the story goes Iggs' only reward for the smash hit was a smash in the face with a gun barrel when he had the audacity to ask for his royalty. Iggs shook at the memory 20 years later and in typically ironic delivery explained why. That was the song that brought the Vikings to the top of the scale as the best band of the year for 1964. Previously, I might have been grieved by a couple of things that had taken place, but I have learned by growth, by virtue of understanding that I could see myself as a well of water capable of quenching other people's thirst, for which I should be grateful and not grieve. There are so many people who say, Jo Iggs taught me this, Jo Iggs taught me that. And what had he got? Well, I recently realized that the only person can give me my reward and what I am entitled to is the Almighty. His face break into a reluctant smile as he had his own evaluation of the song. It is one of the gems of Jamaica, he says softly. It was in Iggs' famous Trenchtown yard that what seems now like a hordes of future notables gathered often barefoot and striving to learn elements of vocal training from an established star. Hear that? In a Jo Iggs yard on 5th Street. Everything happened. Not never happened on a 2nd Street. Iggs' attitude toward this tutoring of the not yet formed wailing soul and wailers, Bunny, Bob, and Peter, blow hot and cold. At times he becomes instantly tasty when Marley name in particular is brought up. People think that the Wailers were known and they had this credit that they were singers. Wailers were not even conscious of sound when I started to deal with them. To hear that Jo assisted with the Wailers, this is foolishness. The Wailers was not singers until I taught them, he insists. That is no crutch. I am not walking on a crutch. I am positively. It took me years to teach Bob Marley what sound like consciousness was about. It took me years to teach the Wailers. For example, they will be going to make a record and I would go with them. And there is somebody making constant mistake, I would just have to take his part in order to get the record finished in time. So that must make him the father of reggae. No. In Trenchtown, I would accept the fact that I was the one who contribute the most to the innovation of new sound, new music. But you had people before me who were professional singers like Lassell Perkins, Sims and Robinson, Timmy and Desmond Tucker. First when I hear them name because I don't do no research. In 1967, Iggs wrote a song called Stepping Razor for the annual festival song competition, although it becomes something of a signature song for the lanky Peter Touch. The giveaway is the lyrics. Do not you watch my size. I am dangerous. How can some 6 foot something guy write a line like that? The 5'4" Iggs has said. Anyway, I got his signature now saying this is a Jo Iggs song. And since July 1979, I have been collecting all the royalty on it. Iggs hit the jackpot in 72 when his song Invitation to Jamaica won him a trip to New York in the tourist song competition. It hardly sounds like the classic reggae that Iggs had become widely known for over the years. Iggs is very adamant about what he thinks the music should stand for. It is a confrontational sound, he said in the 1978 film Roots Rock Reggae. Freedom, that is what it is asking for. Acceptance, that is what it needs. Understanding. Iggs has also written some of the best love songs in the field, including My Devotion and Neither Gold Nor Silver. You have a certain love come from hard struggle and suffering, and a certain love that through pain grade yourself with that hope for freedom, not to give up. In 1973, when Bunny Wailers left the road for a rural life in Jamaica, Iggs was called on to replace him in the final days of the original Wailers. Some of the show they played, particular at San Francisco, told on again that Bob and the Wailers is San Francisco, they made actually base. Metric have become legend, and Iggs is still proud that he was part of what was still considered the initial island invasion of America. In 1974, he united with his early pupil, the Wailing Soul, to form a group called Altera and release a single with them called Brimstone and Fire. The following year, he teamed up with another old friend, Jimmy Cliff, who had begun to see the folly of recording pop songs when the world wanted him to spearhead reggae. Cliff asked Iggs to assemble a top-notch roots reggae band, and Iggs did just that, leading a group of all-stars that accompanied Jimmy Cliff for 2 years on his worldwide tour. Iggs himself was often invited to open with a song or two and fill in when Cliff needed a break. An album of duet was recorded, but so far only 2 songs of Surface and Cliff own superpower label. Sons of Garvey, and Sound of the City, each an oral gem featuring the finest crop of both singers, two first-rate artists challenging each other to top their best previous work. Iggs has recorded solo version of these two and LP as well. Iggs' first solo album came out in this period, probably late 74, called Life of Contradiction. Its title track was co-written by the White Wailers, Lee Jaffe, now a noted New York artist. The rest of the songs include reworking of some of his earliest hits from a decade earlier and claim for him the odd title of Reggae Jazz Connection. Even Eric Gale was part of the album, but the recollection anger Iggs today. He infringed. She was the one by recording it with the Fania All-Star without my credit. Like jazz artists, he agrees that he like to play with my melody. Most of the time, after releasing the basic, I like doing my own thing. I like phrasing my own voice like an instrument. I love jazz. He refused to go middle of the road, even though doing so might have made him more commercial. People will always be ahead of people. Some walk, some run, some creep. I am not concerned about success. Music is my teacher, although he admit it is not good to be ahead of time because life is a procession. In the late 70s, he sang backup for Coming In From the Coal and Marley final album. And in Stranger Coal, Toronto Basement, cut the classic Creation, which is also included on his recent Trump LP. I am saying here that life taken away from one return to its source. You kill 1,000,000 South African each day and you do not know where that life has gone, he says ominously. The Unity is Power album came in 1979 with the unorthodox Small World Was Not Meant for Me and the Hunting Vineyard only the second long playing in a career that already spanned 2 decades. Bunny Whalers helped produce a solemnic single by Iggs called Talk to That Man, a call for brotherhood and understanding that we are all related about the same time. Iggs toured America faithfully and then in 1983 began a promising alliance with the High Times label of reggae high priest of lead guitar China Smith. The collaboration resulted in 1985 Trump album and Alligator. Iggs toured on a film and a firm number 1 on the American reggae chart for several weeks earlier this year. The record contained one of his best tunes ever, So It Go, which was misread and taken personally by some evil element in Jamaica whom the cap had fit. People go to school and they study how to deal with the poor, and they call themselves psychologists. But if you are going to be a leader, then you have to know what it is to suffer, to bear persecution. These songs are really composed by virtue of understanding and experience. You live in a ghetto, and your immediate surrounding and environment is composed of poor people. Poor people. Therefore, if you have a problem financially or whatever, and you got to your and you go to your neighbor next door, what has he got? In the first place, if he has anything, he would not have been where you are. So, if you are in the ghetto, you have to have a big friend. And a big friend is a big brother outside the environment. Dr. John or Liar Paul. Always desiring acceptance on his own strict term, Iggs seems to be nearing the breakthrough that has been so often predicted for his modern master. When asked to name his favorite composition, Iggs answered immediately, "The world is upside down." That one stand out most of all for me. Talking about the deception of people, optical illude from the appearance of your eyes. What you think sometimes is not what it is. Iggs is living abroad, mainly in LA these days. Again, I'm telling you, all these top artists end up living in LA. He recently did a semi song script, some script avant reggae cut with David Cool Rock called Clap Your Hands and Mash It Up at New York SOB Club as part of a limited solo tour in support of Trump. 3 times now Trump name mentioned in this article. So we have to find out what Jo Iggs and Trump connection. He find reggae music is more accepted outside of Jamaica. Jamaica has a class struggle, not a color struggle. Reggae music got its acceptance outside Jamaica, not in Jamaica. It was not accepted by our people. The people who represent or accepted the music was not able to support us. These were the poor people, the people who accept the music outside enable us to produce and keep on producing inside. Iggs, the embodiment of so much reggae history, is optimistic about his future as a solo artist. It takes more than sufferation to stop Jo Iggs to keep on coming forward. I may be slow as a snail, but step by step I am coming forward. Well, that was an interview from the great godfather of reggae, Jo Iggs. Now, next, I will be putting the spotlight on no other than Levi Sibley's from the Heptone, and I will also put the spotlight on Muta Baruka. So until that time, keep it locked.